Welcome to the Sample Chapter Podcast, the show where authors read a sample chapter from one of their books. Here's your host, Jason A. Meiske.
Welcome, one and all, readers, writers, listeners all over the world. This is episode 100 of the Sample Chapter Podcast, the show where authors read a sample chapter from one of their books. Get ready for a lot of fun, a little bit of reminiscing, and some great prizes. This is going to be a fun episode. At least it's going to be fun for me, and I hope it's fun for you to listen to. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for your help in getting to episode 100. I mean, wow, 100 episodes. I'm just blown away. This is so amazing, so cool, and you know, in getting ready for this episode, I just kept getting distracted, reminiscing about all the incredible authors that I've interviewed and had on the show, and the conversations that we've had, the things that I've learned talking with them, and of course, hearing their sample chapter. I don't plan to talk about all 100 episodes. Actually, I plan to keep this relatively short as episodes go, but, I would like to take just a moment and look back to a few highlights. But first, how about we do our first prize of the day? And that is brought to you by U-Stor-All. It is a $15 iTunes gift card, brought to you by U-Stor-All, our lifelong sponsor, essentially. They've been with us from the very beginning. And the winner of that $15 iTunes gift card is, well, I don't have an actual name. I have a Twitter handle. It's Balinar at Night Stalker, and it kind of goes on from there. I have all that information. I'm going to be reaching out to you, Balinar, or Balinair. I'm not sure how you say that, but I'm going to be reaching out to you here pretty quick. If you are listening to this and you hear it beforehand, feel free to reach me first. And congratulations. You won a $15 iTunes gift card. Thank you so much for following us on Twitter, for retweeting and sharing. And we're going to get that right out to you here right away. Well, the Sample Chapter Podcast, the show itself, began by airing its very first episode, January 15th, 2018. It was just me, my phone, and Audacity. I recorded the episode on my phone. I'm not even sure I actually loaded it into Audacity. I don't think I really knew what I was doing with that then. I mean, some people would argue I still don't. But, kind of like today, I just wrote out a script for what I was going to talk about, and then read that off, put the episode out there, and then, the show was born. A week later, I had my very first author interview and chapter reading. That was with my very first guest. That was Stan C. Smith. He is a local author and member of the writing group that I'm a part of. And, what's really interesting about the interview with Stan was his intention going into the interview was he wanted to read from something that he was working on. He had this book idea that he had been fleshing out, and it was a story called Bridgers. Now, any of you that have heard Stan's episode, or maybe you know Stan C. Smith now, this was the episode where he first talked about this. And the first time I got to hear about it, before even the writing club. Because the Bridgers series, which just came to a close, I think it's after book 6, became quite the phenomenon for him. The first book came out a couple months after his episode, after he was on the show. And Stan just it just kind of blew up on him. It became this big old thing. And he had his first few books came out right away, and then the covers were redone, and oh my gosh, just so much success for Stan, and I was really proud for him, really happy for him, and that was a really cool moment to get. It's really cool for me to get to look back and see that he's had all this success, and it's not because of me, it's not because of this show, certainly not, but it's because of the hard work and the writing that he put into that. But for me, it's fun to look back and go, yeah, that's right. He mentioned that book. He was going to read from it. But as you all know, when an author comes on, the chapter that they're going to read is from something that is available at that time for pre-order or that it's already out there. And at this time, it was an idea that Stan was working on and had written a couple chapters. Didn't really know if he was going to finish it or not. So I thought that was really interesting. So make sure you go back and check out that first interview with Stan C. Smith, and then follow up with his Bridgers books and see what he's up to now, because he's doing really, really well. Since that first author episode, there have been authors in just about every genre. Sci-fi, fantasy, romance, thrillers, horror, bizarro fiction, chick lit and Christian lit, poetry, westerns, steampunk and noir, and so many more. And, the thing is, there's still so many more. And not only have we had all these genres, but there's also been people all over the world listening to these authors. I mean, there's now 32 as of this moment, there's 32 countries listening to the show. The most listened to right now, still number one, is USA. However, the top 5, even the top 10, changes radically from time to time. It's amazing to me. Used to be Brazil and the Dominican Republic were way up there. Here lately, though, it goes USA first, and then Spain, the UK, Australia, and Canada. And I'm just amazed with how that fluctuates. To see it from month to month, how one book suddenly resonates in one country compared to another one, and the way that different countries pick up on certain books, and it's really cool. And I don't know how to judge that, but all of you out there outside of the United States, I just want to say thank you. I love you. I think you're amazing, and I really, really appreciate that you are tuning in. I do want to call out in specific new countries who just in the last couple months have started tuning in: Peru, Ireland, the Czech Republic, Croatia, the UAE, and Taiwan. Significant downloads from each of those areas, and from here in America and small town Missouri, in the middle of America, I want to say thank you. And I am humbled that you are tuning in, and I hope that you are finding your new favorite author and a new favorite book, and I hope that you're going in and leaving a review for those authors and letting them know how you like their books. And if you would please leave us a rating sometime, I'd really appreciate that too. Or, of course, everybody knows, reach out to me, either the Twitter and Facebook page, like what Balinar did, follows us on Twitter. And of course, if you ever want to reach out to me personally, you can do that with the show email at samplechapterpodcast@gmail.com. Well, hey, we're going to change gears just for a moment, and let's do another giveaway with our first guest spot of the day. If you're like me and you listen to author or writing podcasts, you might recognize this next spot right away when you hear the music. So check this out.
Hey, don't worry, you're not in the wrong place. This is Kevin Tumlinson from the Wordslinger podcast, wishing Jason Meiske and the Sample Chapter podcast a happy 100 episodes. Congratulations, and here's to 100 more. And now, for the giveaway of the Logitech K480 Bluetooth keyboard, the winner is Dan Brigman. Congratulations, Dan, and here's to hours of writing anywhere. And now, back to Jason Meiske in the Sample Chapter podcast.
Oh, man. How cool was that? Thank you so much, Kevin. And yes, congratulations to Dan Brigman on winning the K480 multi-device keyboard. I love my keyboard, and it's because of Kevin Tumlinson that I even heard about this thing in the first place. He was talking about it sometime over the summer, I believe it was, over on his show on the Wordslinger podcast, and because he talked so highly about it, I decided I'd try it out. Just like him, I fell in love with it right away, and this is one of my prizes that I'm putting up myself. And I just figured, it's only right to ask Kevin if he would be interested in being the one who gives it away, who announces the winner. So yeah, that was really, really cool then that Kevin came back and said, yes, absolutely, he would do so. He was very gracious. And not only was he amazing at it, but he did so fabulously by, he asked me if he could have some fun with it. And my goodness, did he ever. That was awesome. But yeah, thank you, Kevin. You are a gentleman and truly a great guy. Do yourselves a favor. Go check out the Wordslinger podcast as well as his books. And, Kevin is also a previous guest of the show. Way back on episode 16, Kevin came on the show and read from his book, Girl in the Mayan Tomb. This was back in May of 18. And that was a great episode. It was a real highlight for me at the time, getting to talk to Kevin after having listened to him for a couple years on the air. So that was great. And, for that matter, the winner of the keyboard, Dan Brigman, as anybody who's been listening knows, that Dan was a guest on the show here just a few weeks ago, back in November, with his debut fantasy book, The Alterator's Light. So go back a few episodes, go back to November, and check that out as well. But once again, congratulations, Dan. Way to go, buddy. Well, moving on, 2019 has been a particularly big year for me and the show, as well as big author names that I'm just blown away by. We started off in February with New York Times, USA Today best-selling author Tosca Lee. That was awesome. She came on and read from her book, The Line Between, which I believe the rights have sold. It's potentially in production right now. I can't remember, though, if that's going to be a movie or a TV show, but still, that, plus she has, I think, 2 other properties that might be in production. So, I mean, watch out for Tosca. You're going to be hearing her name a lot in the coming years. Soon after that, we had G.S. Denning with his hilarious Warlock Holmes series. Jim Christina came on. He was our very first Western author, and he came on and did a reading, brought that Western to life. That was a lot of fun for me, getting to talk Westerns and, not just Westerns in books, but also in movies and the lifestyle. That was a lot of fun. So we had legal thriller author William Bernhardt, who was reading from his book, The Last Chance Lawyer. Sci-fi author Tabitha Lord was on here. She came on and read from her book, Equinox. And how could we forget Robert Ford bringing his, now that I know, his legendary reading voice on board to read a chapter from A Penny for Your Thoughts, a book that is really blowing up the charts, doing really, really well. He and his co-writer have already put together a sequel to this. Don't remember if it's out already or if it's coming out soon, but that was incredible. And since that episode back in May of this year, I've heard people talking about hearing Robert Ford, going to events and hearing him do a reading, and just how amazing he is. So I can attest, he is incredible. Go back and check out that episode. Scott Moon, the super prolific military sci-fi author, was here back in June, and that was a lot of fun. Just me being in awe with how fast he writes and hearing about everything that he does. Chris Clues, he took us back in time with his best-selling 80s pop culture book, and that was something that was really, really cool. Had a blast talking with Chris about that book, catching up with him later on as he talked about whenever he was getting ready for his second book. And of course, I'm building all this up. Yes, first we had a ton of incredible independent and small press authors out there. In between, I'm not going to take anything away from any of them because they were all incredible. Believe me when I tell you, you need to go back and check out the backlist. Look at these authors and just take some time to peruse. But yes, I'm talking about some of the big name authors who, when you see this name, brings attention to the show. And when you have attention on the show, it gets your interest in maybe looking back at some of these other authors. And a huge highlight for me was episode 85 with the incredible Steve Alton. Yes, the author of The Meg. That was a great talk. Just a pure moment of joy for me, getting to sit down and speak with somebody, for me, who is a bit of a legend. He came on and read from book 3 of his Locke series. It's called Heaven's Lake. It's been available for pre-order for a while. I've got my copy reserved and waiting. Should be showing up any time now, I believe. But that was so much fun getting to talk to him, and on and off the air, getting to pick his brain a little bit, and we had a few laughs talking about sharks and Loch Ness monsters and aliens and stuff. And oh my gosh, he was truly incredible. So as you can see, it's been a really great year for guest authors, and I really look forward to bringing you even more over the next 100. Well, I think it's time for another prize. This time I'm going to tie it in with a little bit of news about this year. So earlier this year, we picked up another sponsor, Scrivener Writing Software. And if you're interested in trying out the writing software for yourself, you can purchase it with a 20% discount by using the coupon code CHAPTER. It's a program that I use every day with my writing, and to have them on as a sponsor has been very special to me. So let's hear a little bit about them. I've got a commercial, and then we're going to give away our first gift from Scrivener. Jason here. Hey, I wanted to take a moment and tell you about my favorite writing tool, Scrivener. Now, I know you've heard about Scrivener because their writing software has been embraced by hundreds of thousands of other writers like you and I, from the novice to best-selling novelists. The reason we all use it is because of Scrivener's core concept to bring all the writing tools you use together in a single application. And with tools like automatic backup, character maps, project goals, and let's not forget that amazing corkboard, you can see why I use Scrivener every day. As a bonus for Sample Chapter Podcast listeners, use code CHAPTER for 20% off your desktop version. Scrivener Writing Software, built by writers for writers. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's that guy Jason. Yeah, I personally have Scrivener on my PC and on my iPhone. They're synced together so that wherever I am, my most recent work is right there, and I absolutely love it. The wonderful people there, not only did they renew the sponsorship for another period, but when I mentioned the episode 100 coming up, they gave me not just 1 but 2 copies of Scrivener to give away. So without further ado, the winner of a free download of Scrivener for Mac is Frank Edler. That's right, Mr. Frank himself, the Bizarro podcast host and author. He was also a previous guest of the show back on episode 39, and so this was really cool that Frank's name was drawn. Make sure you go in and check out his show and his incredibly weird books. So another really cool thing that happened this year with the show was randomly coming across Joey Mills with PopGoesToCulture.com and Pop Goes the Culture podcast for that matter. So back in like late January, early February, sometime in that time frame, we had a massive blizzard came through here in Missouri. It actually knocked out the power to my house, and so I went a day or two. We're sleeping in the living room with the fireplace for our only heat, and but it was nice. It was cozy, and fortunately my phone was charged up quite a bit, and I was replying online. I posted a picture of my fireplace talking about the storm, and lo and behold, this guy Joey with Joey Mills with Pop Goes the Culture replies, hey, be safe, where are you? And we get to chatting back and forth a little bit, and next thing I know, he invites me to bring my show over and be a part of Pop Goes the Culture. And at the time, I was a little leery. I had just backed out of a deal that was almost in place, almost ready to go with another company. And then I just didn't feel right about it. I didn't feel right at all. I didn't think it was going to be the right direction. But Joey was cool. He told me, he says, take your time. We went for a while, and So it all worked out, and it was on like Donkey Kong, as they say. And yeah, it's been really great. I really appreciate everything that they do for my show, and it's my pleasure to get to share their episodes and talk about their podcasts. And there's a lot of their podcasts that I now listen to on a regular basis. So speaking of, why don't we get a little word from the founder and owner of the Pop Goes the Culture Network, Joey Mills, along with another prize.
Hey, this is Joey Mills with the Pop Goes the Culture Podcast and the Pop Goes the Culture Podcast Network. Happy holidays, everyone, and congratulations to Jason and the Sample Chapter Podcast on your 100th episode. You can catch every episode of the Sample Chapter Podcast, Fellowship of the Geeks, Two Dads Review, Christian and Damon's Amazing Nerd Show, and the Pop Goes the Culture Podcast every week at popgoestheculture.com, where we're always looking to bring you unique voices of creators, critics, and fans of all types of entertainment and pop culture. And now the winner of the $15 Amazon gift card is Jesse Merkel. Congratulations, Jesse, and congratulations once again to Jason and the Sample Chapter Podcast. Here's to many more episodes in 2020.
Hey, thank you again, Joey. I really appreciate all the support from you and Pop Goes the Culture community. You know, I can't wait to get to hang out together again at Planet Comic-Con coming up in March. Also, congratulations once again to Jesse Merkel. Jesse follows us on Facebook, and he entered the contest from there. And yeah, congratulations that you won that $15 Amazon gift card brought to you by our longtime sponsor, U-Tor-All, graciously donating to this 100th episode. And hopefully you find yourself something on Amazon that you like. And, you know, if you want to get me something, that's fine too. Well, so far, we have touched a little on how the show began, the reach that it has grown organically over time, the incredible guest authors that we've had on along the way, along with our new sponsor, Scrivener. You also heard just a few moments ago about Pop Goes the Culture Network that we're part of. So, you know, I suppose the only thing left to talk about is the future. And, you know, it's hard to say what the future is other than the future's wide open. I have plans in place for expansion and growth, and we'll just see how some of that goes. Ultimately, the bigger the show gets, the bigger the audience for my guest authors, which is, you know, a good thing. That's what the whole idea for the show is, to keep getting bigger and allow my guest authors more of a chance to reach a bigger audience. And, you know, that seems like a really great segue into our last drawing of the show from some really big guys. Well, big is, you know, not so much big heads, but certainly big hearts. Take a listen to this.
Hey everybody, this is Armand Rosamilia.
And Chuck Buddha.
We're from the Mando Method podcast. And Jason Meiske is a buddy of ours. He's listened to our podcast. We listen to his. We've been on his podcast. He sent us money to do this ad for him, so everything's really cool.
Wait, whoa. You got money?
I mean, anyway, so there's a reason, Chuck, that he wants us to do this little plug there. Do you know what it is?
Probably that he really likes us because we've been on the Sample Chapter podcast a couple times.
Yeah, probably not that.
No,
probably not that.
Oh.
We're here to announce a winner of the free copy of Scrivener for Windows. And Chuck, do you know who that winner is?
Whoever uses Scrivener is a winner. I love Scrivener. I'm afraid I'm not sure who the winner is. Do you know who it is?
I do, and I already told you who it is, so just say the damn name.
Oh, all right. It's Ryan Miller!
Woo!
The Ryan Miller.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say bad words on the Sample Chapter podcast, so you might want to bleep this, but as I always say, as I love to say, fuck Ryan Miller.
Well, we would all like to, but Ryan Miller is a great guy. Very fun to talk to. He sends us lots of great questions, and I know he's very engaged with a lot of podcasts, not only the Mando Method podcast, but also the Sample Chapter podcast. So congratulations, Ryan Miller. It couldn't have been a better winner to get the Scrivener product, and we hope you enjoy it and continue to engage with our buddy, Jason Meiske.
I could probably name about 10 different people that I would rather have won, but Brian's all right. And this is the cool thing now. Ryan will use it, and he'll write a killer book using Scrivener, and then he'll be on Sample Chapter Podcast, being interviewed by Jason Meiske about that book.
There you go.
It's like The Lion King, that the Circle of Life thing.
Yeah, but I'm not going to hold Ryan Miller out over the precipice. My arms aren't strong enough.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you see what I mean? You gotta love them. I mean, how can you not love a couple of guys that are just so adorable, right? That was Armand and Chuck with the Mando Method podcast. Oh my gosh, they are incredible. They were here. They're actually repeat authors, repeat guests. They were here together for episode 59 with a book that they co-authored together, which was Keyport Cthulhu 2. I've read the first one. I haven't read the second one yet, but they read a chapter from it, and it gave me a little insight into what happened after the first one ended. So I can't wait to dive into this sometime. But they also were here separately. Armand, way back on episode 12, here reading from his book A Yard Full of Bones. And then Chuck came episode 21 and was reading from, I think it was a vampire book, The First Cut. But, I'm a huge fan of these guys, really, is the way to put it. Armand and Chuck, I love their show. I love their banter. As an author, I really appreciate their honesty week in and week out about the writer's struggles and the little tips and tricks that they have. And not just those things, but they have a real knack for bringing the audience in and making you a part of it, bringing you, the listener, as an author, making you feel accountable to them with Mando Method sprints and goals, yearly goals, all that kind of stuff. So definitely go back, check out their episodes with us, and check out Mando Method Podcast. And again, congratulations to Ryan Miller. Ryan has not been a guest, but I do know Ryan is somebody working on his first book right now. So this is really cool that he gets the free copy of Scrivener for Windows. So Ryan, we're going to get a hold of you here right away. If you hear this before I get a hold of you, feel free to reach out to me, and we're going to get that copy of Scrivener over to you right away. Well, everybody, that pretty much does it. Thank you so much to Kevin Tumlinson, Joey Mills, Armand Rosamilia, and Chuck Buda for being so gracious with your time and recording a bit for me. You guys are incredible, every one of you, and I love you guys. You're awesome. And for you, the listener, I just want to say thank you. When I began the show, I just thought, well, this will go for a while, and then we'll see what happens, and then maybe it'll die off. Maybe nobody will be interested. And, I've not run out of people interested in, the authors who I'm going to have on. It's funny, I get asked sometimes, have you had a bad author, a bad guest previously? And, with all sincerity, no, I really haven't. Every episode, every guest has been incredible. And I really do enjoy their company. I really enjoy visiting with them. And I really do learn something from getting the chance to talk with them. And, they're helping me grow, not just as an author, but also as a person. And I really appreciate that. And I love doing this show. Like I said, I look forward to 2020 and finding new ways to grow the show and sharing even more with you. And, it's going to be a good year. I think 2020 is going to be an amazing year for me personally and professionally. And I can't wait to share it with you, if you tune in and tag along for the ride. I am going to take a little bit of a break through the holidays. I have a lot going on. Anybody that's been tuning in, the last couple episodes have come out a little late. Normally every episode is on Tuesday morning. The last couple weeks with the holidays and all, it's been quite the hectic schedule. So I'm going to take a little break. It's much needed. Among the many things I'm going to be doing is figuring out this computer, because I'm still running Windows 7 and I'm going to have to upgrade or something with it here pretty quick. I'm running out of time. So, but I've got 100 different things I've got to check off my list, and then we're going to be back. I've already got several author interviews lined up, a couple recorded already, and it's going to be a good year. I can promise you that. It is going to be a good year, 2020. I can't wait to share the things that are cooking, the things that are coming soon. So, again, thank you, everybody. All of you around the world listening in every week, tuning in, downloading this show. 100 episodes. I'm just blown away. I really am. And I don't know if you can hear it in my voice or not, but I'm really touched. Thank you so much. I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and all the best at the start of 2020. As always, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, because you don't want to miss out when we come back with a new author, a new book, and a new sample chapter. Take care, everybody.